Now, only about a decade ago, a U.S.-Africa summit would probably have centered mostly around aid deliveries to impoverished nations. But Africa has since developed into one of the fastest-growing regions on Earth. And so the summit going on in Washington right now is focused mostly on deepening trade ties between Africa and America. But problems like poverty and instability have by no means disappeared. Perhaps nobody knows that better than the man trying to put the pieces back together of a failed state, Somalia's President Hassan Sheikh Mohamud. After nearly 2 years in office, Mohamud has made some gains against the terror group al-Shabab and created some semblance of law and order. But progress is fragile and it's slow going. Al-Shabab is stepping up attacks in Mogadishu, also targeting lawmakers. Meanwhile, drought and conflict are another threatening massive famine again. Hassan Sheikh Mohamud could have one of the toughest jobs in the world, but he's up for the challenge, as he told me when he joined me earlier from Washington, D.C. President Mohamud, thank you very much for being with us and welcome to the program. The U.S.-Africa Summit is a lot about investment, but it's also about security. Shabab, you have made some gains against them, but it is still fragile, and they are still able to get into the capital of Mogadishu and indeed also have gotten into the presidential compound. How is your battle against Shabab going, and how can you make it even more efficient?
This is a sign of defeat. It's not a sign of strength or a sign of Shabab. They lost the military front. They cannot confront the joint operation of Somali National Army and the African Union mission. So they changed the tactic and make it asymmetrical urban warfare. And what we're seeing is that Shabab saying that we are alive and we can operate anywhere we want it, but that does not mean that they have strength. They are weakened. Today, as I'm speaking right now in the CNN, they killed 10 elders in one of the villages in the Bai region, and they destroyed the water well. This is a desperation and showed that they don't have any future with the community, and they're killing the elders. 10 senior elders in that village alone, and destroyed the only water well the village has. That is a sign of defeat. That is a sign of that they don't have any future with them.
Yeah, but at the same time, they can still inflict very heavy damage in areas. And at the same time, you're looking for foreign investors into your country, for instance, into the oil sector that you're trying to build up. Why should foreign companies go into Somalia when they face those security risks? How can they?
This world, there is no any investment without risk. Yes, what we are looking right now is investment. It's not the issue of grants and donations only, and every investment has a level of risk. In Somalia, the level of risk right now we have, some people may claim that it's high, but it's not. It's a security situation that is improving. It's a state building program that is improving, and there is a very bright future for Somalia and for the partners in Somalia. So it's the choice of those investors who are ready to come to Somalia today, rather than later on jumping in while Somalia is settled down. Today is the opportunity, and we have presented that to our partners.
You're obviously facing a daunting task, trying to rebuild this nation. Somalia ranks 175th of 177 countries on Amnesty International's International Corruption Index. It's very difficult to get any sort of cohesion going. At the same time, you're facing a drought, you're facing possible famine. How do you come to terms with all these problems, and are you doing enough to tackle them, and can you?
We do not deny that there are challenges in Somalia. Somalia has been having without a functioning state for over 2 decades now. We are not anymore the Somalia of the piracy, the Somalia of terrorism, the Somalia of famine. Somalia has a great future. This is a very rich country. We're doing, with a very short period, in 2 years' time, we reversed the whole thing, the whole situation in Somalia. We have a financial institutions that we are now building in collaboration with the African Development Bank, the World Bank, the IMF. We're partnering with them to put in place a robust financial institutions. That's where we want Somalia to go, high up in the index of the Transparency International. There was no institutions in the past. Now we have the institutions back in place and functioning.
How important is Somalia's stability to the stability of that entire region, to, for instance, Kenya's stability, to the region of Ethiopia, for instance, and also For instance, with the Westgate Mall siege, there aren't any leads yet, even though a lot of people believe that those behind them are in Somalia.
Well, the Shabab, first of all, one has to understand the Shabab is a ideology-based organization, and ideology has no citizenship or has no boundaries at all. So what's going on in Somalia, the only reason why it's Somali is it's located in Somalia. It got a space, a vacuum where they can do their business in Somalia. But this is an organization that challenges the peace and stability of the region and the peace and stability of the world at large. And Somalia, being close to the Asia, and having no robust state institution, Shabab and the terrorists use it as the gateway to the rest of Africa and the rest of the world. That's what we're trying to deny. The space, the territory that Shabab controls in Somalia is shrinking, and it's shrinking very fast. That's why that's the only solution for eliminating the training camps, the bomb-making factories, the transit routes of Shabab to other parts of Africa. And this is not a challenge for the Somali nation only. It's a challenge for the region, for the continent, and the world at large.
Are you worried about the Ebola outbreak? Certainly seems something that is a pan-African threat, even though it's fairly localized right now.
Indeed, it is. Ebola, as you rightly said, is spreading very fast. And we, today, in the Africa-US Summit for Business Forum, it has been declared that countries like Liberia, Sierra Leone, and we were sorry, these three countries, that they couldn't even come to this platform. And we know, and our hearts and minds are with them. And in the meantime, we've been agreed that we take the necessary precautions to isolate the virus so that it does not appear. In Somalia, which is the other corner of the continent, west to east in Somalia, we have taken these precautions right now, and further steps will be taken to make sure that the virus does not jump from the west to the eastern part of the continent.
President Mohamud, thank you very much for being on the program.
Thank you very much. Thank you.